Yesterday, we decided definitively what's the most dangerous gun you could possibly choose as your EDC. Well, today, we're going to do the same thing, but we're going to talk about what's the safest gun you could choose for your EDC. Hey everybody, Yankee here. As you know, yesterday I answered the first part of a question that I received from a viewer. They asked me, what's the most dangerous gun you can choose for carry? What's the safest one you can choose for carry? And we dealt with the first part yesterday. Like I said, definitively, we proved it beyond a shadow of a doubt, no questions. So today we're going to do the same for the safest. Now before I do that, let me remind everybody, don't freak out. Before the end of the video here, let me speak my mind. And remember, don't take this too seriously. It's my opinion. If you differ with my opinion or you think I'm wrong, feel free to come to my live chats. We do them every night at 6 p.m. All comers are welcome. We'll debate it. We'll do a spank the yank where you get to come in and tell me why I'm wrong. Hell, even if we just end up yelling at each other, it'll still be fun. A little discourse is good for the soul. So come on in. Let me know if you think I'm wrong. I welcome that. Don't think I'm going to be mad at you. I like that. So go ahead and come on in. With that being said, let's answer the question. Why do I think it's the safest gun you can choose for your EDC? Well, no one's going to be surprised that it's a double action, single action gun that's hammer fired because I think that is the superior mechanism. I think the best safety you can have is that heavy, long first pull on a trigger. Makes it far less likely you're ever going to accidentally or negligently pull that trigger. So I think that overall, even better than a safety, is the most important thing you can have on a gun to make that gun as safe as possible. And you don't get that with striker-fired guns and stuff usually, but you do get it with hammer-fired, double-action, single-action guns. I don't even think you need a safety necessarily if you got that first long pull. That makes the gun very safe. Now, the gun I'm choosing, though, has that double-action, single-action, hammer-fired pull, but also can be had with a safety. You don't have to have a safety. You can get one that just has a decocker. I actually prefer that because I think the trigger pull is enough. But if you want to be as safe as you possibly can be, you can get this gun with a manual safety. In fact, most of them come with one. And that gun is the Beretta 92 series, specifically the FS and the X, etc. If you get it with the safety, that's the safest gun I think you could possibly carry. These guns are very safe, and there's reasons for that. There's reasons why this gun is safer than, say, a SIG. Well, one reason that it's safer is because I think the safety is a very nice feature. Most SIGs don't have safeties. This has a safety. That gives you that extra layer of protection over that double action, single action pull. So it takes a gun that's already very safe and makes it even safer. And it's not just because it has a safety that it's safer than most guns that are similar. It's because of how that safety works. A lot of times safeties just prevent the trigger from being actuated. That's all they do. And sometimes they have a firing pin block that in case the trigger does actuate and the hammer does fall, you can't strike, the primer. It's either got a firing pin block or it's got a hammer block or it's got these other things that prevent the hammer from striking the firing pin. In the case of the Beretta, it doesn't do that. In fact, when you engage the safety, when it's off, the firing pin is actually lined up with the hammer, and you can fire the gun. When it's on safe, not only is the firing pin or the hammer or whatever blocked in some way, but it's not even in line with the hammer anymore. The hammer can't even touch it if it did come all the way forward. If you do this, while the safety is on, there's no possible way it's going to fire because that firing pin has been turned from horizontal to vertical. So there's no way the hammer can strike it. You can't drop it on its hammer and have it go off because even if you dropped it on its hammer and broke the hammer mechanism and it went all the way forward, the firing pin's not there. It's not in line with it. So it's not going to go off. So this gun has all the great features of a safe carried gun. It's got that long double action first pull, single action pulls afterwards. It's hammer fired. It's got a safety. And not only does it have a safety, it actually moves the firing pin out of the way. No matter what kind of firing pin block or transfer bar or whatever you use, that's not as good as actually physically moving the firing pin. The Beretta 92 does that. So get yourself a Beretta 92 with the manual safety. And you'll see what I'm talking about. Not only are they one of the best guns, period, especially a 96 if you get it in 40, but they're also one of the safest guns you can possibly carry. Even when they were the gun used in the military, one of the best things about them is you probably couldn't get a safer gun if you tried. That was one of the best things about them. And like I said, they are great guns. They're great carry guns. A lot of people might think they're a little big, but I don't think they are. They carry pretty easy. They're not that much bigger than a Glock 23 or Glock 19. They're a little heavier because they're metal, but that means they're better. So I think this is one of the best guns you can carry, and not only that, it's one of the safest guns you can carry. So buy one for yourself. See what I mean? I think when you first notice how that firing pin actually transfers up out of the way, you'll understand what I'm talking about. And if you aren't worried about that, if you're just worried more about having that long double action trigger pull, a hammer fired, all that stuff, well, the decocker itself is probably enough safety for you. But if you want the safest one you can get the one with the manual safety, and you won't be able to find a safer gun.